Hey, how's it going? Welcome. Going to be jumping into some tournament action today. We're here at some more Total War Fantasy Leagues. I'm your host, Dav, of course. We're going to be having a matchup today between Jinkono and Ondjage, so definitely in for a good time. Looks like the first matchup is going to be Dark Elves versus Tomb Kings, so I'll go ahead and leave the screen blocker up while these guys are picking their armies. Hope y'all are doing well today. Definitely been a good day so far. Got a upcoming game I just casted from Gobbo King, a tournament game from this last weekend's Princess Pittance tournament. That's going to be going up immediately after the stream. Well, I say immediately, obviously it takes time to upload, so, you know, probably a couple hours after the stream. Obviously we'll be keeping it coming with more content tonight. And throughout the week, I'm going to be trying to keep up this 2-day schedule. No guarantees, though. I may slip to 1 a day, you know, through the weekend while I have my main, you know, day job, which is primarily on the weekends, so. All right. Hey, Gary, how's it going? Good to see you as always. Alright, welcome everyone, welcome. Just waiting for these guys to get their army picks. Looks like we're just about ready to go here. Hope y'all are having a wonderful Tuesday so far. We're just waiting for these guys to get started here. We're gonna be once again. Looks like Dark Elves versus High Elves. Actually, I know I said Dark Elves versus Tomb Kings earlier, but I guess Ondjage hadn't quite picked his army yet. So we're gonna be Dark Elves versus High Elves. Definitely a fun grudge match, classic grudge match. So elves killing elves is always a good time. And we'll see how it goes. MP Blue Reach River is going to be the map selection. And yeah, very interesting. This matchup can go a lot of different ways, so I'm not really going to comment too much on possible compositions quite yet. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun for sure. Alright, and it does look like we're going to be getting started here, so let's go ahead and close that out here. And we'll go ahead and switch this over to the main screen as we take a look here. And we'll have a look at the army compositions. So it should be a very interesting matchup. I haven't seen Jinkono play too many times. I have seen Ondjage play a couple times. I played him a few times myself. A very, very good player. So definitely going to be in for a very challenging battle for Jinkono. Hey, Hydro Franz, how's it going? Good to see you as always. Just going to be diving into some more tournament actions, some Total War Fantasy League. From Amsterdam, eh? Man, I was looking at flights to Europe. I was looking at like Amsterdam, potentially Berlin. There's a few places in Europe I want to go to, but I want to go back to Normandy. I actually went to Normandy a few, what was it, maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. It was super fun. We went on a river cruise there from Paris out to the coast. Got to see a bunch of historical sites. It was super cool. Pound for pound unit in Total War Warhammer 2. That is really hard to say. It really depends on the situation because, of course, you know, different units have different roles. If you're talking just a straight up all-around unit, I'd probably say a heavy cav unit, number one, because they're mobile, they hit hard. You want something relatively sustainable. Reichsguard? Maybe? I don't know. Reichsguard aren't super cost effective in certain situations is the thing. So, yeah. I don't know if I have a good answer for that question. Yeah, France is beautiful. I really, really like the hard cider there too. Like, oh man. Like, we have, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with like Angry Orchards or Red's Apple Ale. It's just like, that's garbage tier compared to a proper cider from Normandy. It was so good. A feet picture? I don't know about that. Alright, so let's take a look at the army compositions here. For the High Elves, we've got, let's see. Lord selection is going to be Tyrion. We've also got a High Mage with just Apotheosis and Shield of Safri. Very good stuff. 3 units of Dragon Princes. We've got 2 Lothern Sea Guard, 2 Archers, 3 White Lions, and 4 White Lions. That's about it. For the Dark Elves here, we've got Dark Riders, we've got Bleak Swords, 2 units of Black Ark Corsairs to make that 3, Hargoneth Executioner, 2 Witch Elves, 2 Dread Spears. We've got Shades, couple of Cold One Knights, and Malekith. So very interesting stuff. I'm curious to see how it goes. Very, very curious. White Lions are a unit that's cost effective in certain matchups. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of them, but I'm very curious to see how they perform here. They are pretty good against like Black Ark Corsairs. They're roughly equivalent to Longbeards and Chaos Warriors. The issue is once that martial prowess dries up, they trade a lot less cost effectively, so it's a little bit rough situation for the White Lions. But we can see Ondjage's High Elves are going to be pushing up across this side here. Obviously, most of the Dark Elf forces are hidden. You know, we've got forces out in the far side and forces here. These guys haven't quite been discovered yet, so Ondjage not really sure what to do so far. Just going to continue kind of pushing up this way. It looks like the Dark Elf player is potentially going to try and line up something like this and then come out of the woods for a, you know, favorable side engagement here, but we'll see how it turns out for him. These Dark Riders are probably going to run straight into these Dragon Princes here, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. You can see Ondjage not really sure about shenanigans here, going to be kind of just pulling back his forces. The Dark Elves are continuing just to advance through the forest here. It looks like these Dark Riders have been discovered by the High Mage here. They look like they're going to be potentially going after the High Mage, which, you know, is a pretty good bait tactic. If he loses out these Dark Riders, that's some pretty good value early on. I mean, they're just regular Dark Riders, so only 450 points, but very nicely played there, using that High Mage as bait and then using these Dark Riders to come in to do some immense damage, and they are going to be able to lance down these Dark Riders without too much problem here. The Dark Riders are just not going to be able to stand up to that. Apotheosis to heal up the High Mage, what little damage she did take there, and the Dark Riders are summarily dispatched. You can see more Dark Riders running around in the back line trying to distract some of these Dragon Princes here. But yeah, Jinkono's forces are starting to emerge from the woods. You can see this this Black Ark Corsair is now visible, so we'll see. Ondjage definitely doesn't want to take this engagement in the woods here because obviously he has a pretty heavy archer force here. So it looks like he's just trying to isolate and take down this unit of Dark Riders here, and some very nice positioning. He is going to get some isolation here and be able to take down these Dark Riders. So Ondjage is showing his skill there in just positioning those units in a proper way that they kind of bracketed the Dark Riders from both sides. And that's one of the nice things about Dragon Princes is although they are a very heavy shock cavalry at 110 armor, massive charge bonus, they're also very fast at 78 speed. Probably one of the if not the fastest elite tier shock cavalry in the game. I would need to compare them. Maybe Blood Knights are comparable, but they're very, very fast units. You can see these Dark Riders are rallying over on the far side, but a little bit of a dangerous situation here for Ondjage. A lot of these Dark Elf forces are visible, so honestly at this point you probably just push forward and form up a line here, but maybe potentially looking to go after some of these infantry here. Again, just the positioning here, just screening out. He's not using a direct charge order until just now when he's caught them. He's kind of going at an oblique angle to the side of them to try and cut them off, and that's exactly what you want to do when you're trying to pursue a unit that's faster than you. You know, you don't. It's similar to for those of you guys who have played American football. Similar tactic there. You don't want to just run straight at your opponent. You kind of need to run at an angle so you can then head them off. So yeah, Dark Elves just continuing to push up through the forest here. You can see they've kind of got this kind of functional group here and another functional group here. So we'll see how the battle unfolds. But so far, Ondjage just content to sit back, kind of do some scouting around with Tyrion here to see if he can keep eyes on these forces here. Looks like some archers coming forward, maybe to do some skirmishing. Of course, there are rules about having to attack, so he does need to have some unit attacking here, and these archers shooting their ammo certainly does count as attacking. So the Dark Elves are going to need to push forward here. And yeah, it looks like their force is all formed up, so they're going to be pushing forward out of the woods now at this point. The Dark Elves have the range to be able to force them out of the woods here, and some shots being opened up on these Witch Elves. Let's see if they're able to do some pretty solid damage. Yeah, it's decent HP damage, maybe 5% HP damage or more. Pretty decent so far, but we'll see. It's going to definitely be an interesting battle, and it's going to be all about positioning and getting rear charges with those Dragon Princes. You can see Dragon Princes, again, hidden over in this forest here with the High Mage. And yeah, the other two are just kind of in a support position in the rear of the infantry line. We'll see how things go. Krokar is a little bit counterable. Like there's some certain builds and situations that just hard counter Krokar. So I don't know. Malekith is also very versatile. Yeah, Malekith might be the best pound for pound unit in the game. Manfred von Karstein is also another very, very good one, just because he gets so much Winds of Magic, but some really nice damage coming in on these Witch Elves. And Ondjage is focusing exactly the target that he wants to with these non-armor piercing archers. You can see running in the front line here with these Dragon Princes. They are going to get interrupted a little bit here. Only a few of them connect on the Hargoneth Executioners, so that was a nice interrupt there, kind of sacrificing those Black Ark Corsairs, but Ondjage is immediately going to pull away there. The Witch Elves are not fast enough, and these Dragon Princes haven't taken enough damage to enrage. You can see the White Lions being dispatched here. Again, being dispatched here to intercept. We've got White Lions engaging Black Ark Corsairs all across the line, and White Lions will beat the crap out of Black Ark Corsairs. Definitely with their armor piercing. Although the Black Ark Corsairs do have an anti-infantry bonus, they just can't trade quite enough to get that martial prowess down. You can see it looks like a Soul Stealer going to be dropped in this pocket to steal some life away from Tyrion and a lot of these other troops here. Malekith doesn't need to heal any damage per se at this point, but he just wants to start dealing damage, I guess. We've got Cold One Knights inundating on these Lothern Seaguard here, but probably not the best target for them. They're turning their attention now to these White Lions. Going to be a very nice rear charge coming in here. The armor-piercing shock damage will do quite a bit of work against these White Lions here. But quickly following up with the Dragon Princes, Ondjage is right behind, again, taking advantage of that 80 charge bonus here and that Martial Mastery. Going to be doing some pretty nice shock damage here, we'll see. Looks like Murderous Prowess has been kicked off all across the board, and the High Elves are starting to come ahead on the balance of power a little bit here. Tyrion Sunfang just going to be roasting these units here. Oh, that was brutal. just completely eviscerated those Bleak Swords. Likewise, a really nice Gaze of Malice in the back line on those archers. But things are starting to get more and more desperate for the Dark Elves as the balance of power starts to shift. A Blade Wind in the back line is really not going to do too much to clean things up here. White Lions traded very cost effectively against the front line there because the Hargoneth Executioners took that brutal frontal charge, and the Witch Elves just aren't able to get on the targets they need to. This unit of Dragon Princes is enraged, but you know, it's fighting up against Dread Spears and some wounded Cold One Knights, which aren't going to do the most damage to it. So a little bit of a rough situation at this point. These Shades, unfortunately, being forgotten in the back here would have been very useful at taking out some of these White Lions and Dragon Princes. So unfortunate there for Jinkono about forgetting those Shades. They are a pretty expensive unit as well. Yeah, we'll just kind of wrap up with some cinematic action here, as I don't think the Dark Elves can come back from this particular engagement here. Dragon Prince is just proving too strong for them, getting that nice initial shock damage and then pulling away before the Dark Elves can react. And the Dark Elves are honestly one faction that struggles a little bit in terms of mobility. I mean, they have Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, but none of those units are really going to be great against, you know, elite tier shock cavalry. Their light cavalry is pretty poor, and then Cold One Knights are a little slow. They're a little low in model count. They just can't stand up to elite tier cavalry. So a very safe strategy with going with the multiple Dragon Princes there, and just overwhelming on the shock cavalry there. So very well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. We'll go ahead and come over here. It is indeed a best of 3. You are correct, sir. Gotta Gobbos, are you Gobbo King on occasion? Occasionally? Let's actually bring this over here, and I just want to make sure that we get the replay saved just in case. I believe I can do so if we come in here. And let's go ahead and go to replays. And just out of curiosity, let's just see if that works. Great game both, and let's go ahead and switch back over to the screen blocker here as these guys start to pick their armies once again. So we'll go ahead and wait for the army bans and picks. Very good stuff so far. Yeah, White Lions proved pretty cost-effective there. AP Anvil, definitely. The Dragon Princess and the White Lions working very well in tandem together, so nice play from Ondjage there. The High Elves are one of those factions that they're probably the weakest out of the Game 2 factions, I would say. They're still very strong, don't get me wrong, especially in certain matchups. But they just kind of struggle a little bit to deal with the big armored monsters, which definitely can be a risk. So Aquatics for the win. Yeah. Chameleon Skinks. Oh, yeah. Actually, Skinks with Javelins might be one of the most cost-effective units in the game because they're so cheap, and those 2 volleys of Javelins, they have, what, 120 unit models or 90 unit models? I can't quite remember, but it does a ton of damage. Lore of Shadows and Combined Arms. Yeah, that's a pretty good way. That's probably the best way to do it, I would imagine, yeah. You'd missed game 1, sir. We had Dark Elves versus High Elves, and Ondjage's High Elves carried the day. So, yep. Now going into game 2, looks like Ondjage has taken the Dark Elves, and Jinkono has taken the Greenskins. So, very interesting. I am curious to see this matchup. So, the feet of Janet. Oh yeah, did Janet show a picture of his feet? Oh yeah, the cloven hoof. Janet is a beastman, by the way, if you guys didn't know. So hey, we got 35 watching. That's not too bad. How y'all doing today? I'm glad to see y'all coming out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. That first game was you know, pretty good clinic on how good Dragon Princes are against the Dark Elves. Honestly, I like Dragon Princes in pretty much every matchup. I think, you know, Swordmasters of Hoeth are very cost-effective. Don't get me wrong, but there's just so many things that are good at killing elite infantry that I think it's better to have the elite tier shock cavalry. Personally, I I don't know. Like, I just tend to go with cheaper infantry lines and just go super wide with the mobile units with the high elves, because they have really excellent light cavalry. They have really nice heavy shot cavalry in the Dragon Princes. Silver Helms are meh. They're all right, but yeah. Well, we already know, Gary. If he doesn't bring the Thief Robbers, it's an auto loss. So Gobbo King, you know, proved that scientifically in the Princess Pittance tournament this weekend. So yeah, double Star Dragon is a little bit disgusting, and honestly, Star Dragons aren't as good as they used to be. Yeah, Blackguard are definitely a good tool there. If you bring Lore of Shadows, Occam's Mind Razor can help a lot at taking down Dragon Princes, even if you put it on something like a Cold One Knight. But let's see, the Dark Riders with the Repeater Crossbows, I think, are very good. I mean, if they get caught by Illyrian Reavers, they're done. But Illyrian Reavers aren't a super common pick in that matchup, so I think you could probably get away with them. So then you can run around, and as the Dragon Princes come in, you don't. The nice thing about Skirmish Cav is if you're on top of your micro, you don't have to protect them as much as infantry skirmishers, because they can just kind of run around and be where the enemy is not. So, yeah. I don't think so. I don't think Star Dragon's got a nerf stat-wise. Yeah, Pendulum is really strong. It's a very, very good spell. One of my favorite wind spells in the game. Super cost effective, definitely. You can undercast it and it just does tons of damage to low armor infantry and some damage to high armor infantry, or you can overcast it and it just destroys everything. Not like Wind of Death destroys everything, but it does some damage for sure. Yeah, Pendulum, Lore of Shadows. You can bring Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, Melkos, honestly, even Pit of Shades. Pit of Shades is really good against heavy cavalry because it kind of pins them into place. So, yeah, Lore of Shadows, all of the spells are useful against the High Elves. So you kind of pick what you want to use and go from there. But yeah, maybe Pit of Shades against the Dragon Princes would have been super useful. I'd have to try that. Yeah, you could use Melkos to slow them in the back line. Exactly. Exactly. Use that Enfeebling Foe to debuff their combat stats so that, like, Cold One Knights trade a lot more cost effectively, for example. So we're going to be going into Game 2. Let's go ahead and switch back over to the main screen here. And we'll get things going. So, looks like Golden Colossus is going to be the second map we're playing here. Should be a lot of fun. Once again, it is, let's see, Dark Elves, and what was the other faction? Greenskins, that's right. Dark Elves versus Greenskins. So let's see. Probably expecting some either Azag or Wurzag. Looks like Azag the Slaughterer is going to be the Lord for the Greenskins here, so he's carrying just Fate of Yuna and Spirit Leech, fairly standard. We've got the Hammer of Gork, Rock Lobber, very good. It applies that blind, also does some really nice armor-piercing damage, so I like this pick quite a bit. We've got an infantry line with 3 Meat Shield Gobbos, the 8 Peak Loonies, 2 Black Orcs. We've also got a Night Gobble Firing Squad, Night Goblin Archers, and Rusty Arrows. Durkit Squigs with 2 Orc Boar Boy Biggins, one of them is a Broken Tusk Mob. Spider Rider Archers, and Mangy Marauders. So 2 Spider Rider Archers and the Mangy Marauders. Very fun stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Dark Elves. We've got Malekith up on a dragon here, 2 Shades, 1 Black Ark Corsair with Handbow. Actually make that 4 Black Ark Corsairs with Handbows, kind of as a front line. Very interesting. So looking for a more mobile skirmish type army. He's got 1 Witch Elf in the sweeper position. Dark Rider, it looks like 2 Witch Elves actually. A Dark Rider, 2 Cold One Knights, and Dread Spear. So yeah, pretty interesting build from Ondjage. I'm honestly very curious to see how this goes for him. We'll see. So just all over the field, you can see the greenskins kind of spreading out all over the place, taking lots of map control. Whereas Ondjage is deployed in a pretty nice pocket. I mean, granted, his formation is very wide and it's very dynamic in that, you know, these Black Ark Corsairs can fade away. If they're going to be fighting trash tier infantry, they can charge forward. He's got the shades to kind of, you know, run in different directions and fire in. The Cold One Knights can come in on quick charges, and of course the Witch Elves, if any high value targets get too damaged, the Witch Elves come in and enrage, and then allow Malekith to get on them and destroy them, I would imagine. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Empire Halberdiers are pretty expensive for what they do. They should honestly probably be $575 for what they do, but and here we go. So the match is going to be kicking off into play, immediately opening up shots with that Hammer of Gork. So that is going to pull Ondjage forward. The greenskins having that artillery advantage. So yeah, we'll kind of watch as things get started here. Azag's coming out of the trees a little bit here to probably start dropping some Spirit Leeches on Malekith, I would imagine, as quickly as possible. And yeah, Ondjage is doing the right thing. He's going to be pushing up through the forest here to try and take as little artillery damage as possible, making some very good use of the terrain here. So Jinkono is going to need to kind of reorganize his formation this way, and then the artillery will be less effective, you know, kind of from this angle. So very nice use of terrain here. This is exactly what you want to do, and it may seem a little bit, you know, time-consuming to have to walk all the way around here, but you definitely don't want to just run straight up the pipe here and take all that missile fire in kind of this area here. It's going to play into the greenskin's strengths quite a bit, so advancing through this heavy jungle here will give you quite a bit of cover from that missile fire. So good stuff so far. You can see Malekith's kind of coming forward, doing some scouting, no doubt senses that there's some Night Goblin shenanigans going on, but hasn't discovered anything quite yet. You can see Hammer of Gork going to be firing in now to these Black Ark Corsairs here, and we'll see if they're able to make some solid shots here. The hill and the trees are obstructing that shot pretty nicely there, so very nice use of terrain by Ondjage. And just using those craters and kind of this a little bit of forest here, and don't mind this floating jungle tree here that the Dark Elves are kind of running underneath. Please ignore that entirely. Yeah, the Dark Elves didn't bring any artillery, you are correct. So this unit of Black Ark Corsairs here is going to start taking that Hammer of Gork fire, but the blind will be useful, and these guys, I mean, they have solid combat stats, but you can see once they get hit by that blind, they're down to 6 melee attack and 0 melee defense, so if they do elect to go into combat here, they're going to suffer pretty badly, but a very heavy missile build from Ondjage here. You can see him discovering the Black Orcs in the forests here, and the shades are going to be discovered as well. You can see all these missile units just immediately getting a concave of fire into these Black Orcs. They do have the jungle, which is going to be screening out some of that missile damage, but immediately the Gobble's also pushing forward, trying to push these Black Ark Corsairs back. So let's see how this goes. This Black Ark Corsair continuing to take that missile fire, and these Force Goblin Spider Rider Archers now going to be getting into shooting on the Witch Elves, which is a really, really nice target here. If they can actually get some shots off. They will take a little bit of damage from the handbows here, but they definitely don't want to get caught by those Dark Riders. Doing a lot of damage, though, to those Witch Elves with only a couple of volleys. Very nicely played there. We have a little bit of an engagement developing in the jungle here as these if the Goblins are able to apply poison to these Black Ark Corsairs, then they're going to have a lot harder time getting away. You can see they're down to 31 speed with that poison effect. So the Durkit Squigs also coming out of the forest, going to be getting on these high-value shades here. Witch Elves are trying to rush forward to get in there, but those shades are going to take a ton of damage. You can see the Cold One Knights also responding. The armor-piercing anti-large will be able to deal with those Durkit Squigs fairly quickly. They are also getting enraged now by the Witch Elves, so very nicely responded there by Ondjage, able to turn what was initially a very rough situation into a favorable engagement. The A-Peak loonies here need to release some fanatics straight this way. They'd be able to get a ton of value because there's a bunch of units clumped up right here, but now they're out of control, so they're not able to release their fanatics. Spirit Leech being dropped on Malekith. A lot of the forces for the greenskins are secure in this pocket here. They're able to push back these forces from the Dark Elves, you know, just with the ranged fire here. Black Ark Corsairs and Witch Elves have taken a lot of damage. You can see Malekith's also starting to take quite a bit of damage as well. Of course, the Mangy Marauders do have armor-piercing missiles, so they will be able to do quite a bit of damage to him. However, if he's fighting in the forest, he's going to get some debuffs, and all of the large units here that are fighting these Black Orcs are going to get debuffs. The Cold One Knights, the Malekith himself all get debuffs from fighting in the forest, so it's not the most ideal place. That being said, looks like a Fate of Yuna being going down on those Cold One Knights. It's the only real high value target that Ondjage has. It's the highest value target, I should say. That should take them off the battlefield, but those Black Orcs are taking quite a bit of damage now. They're enraged. Word of Pain also debuffing their melee stats significantly. So very well played there by Ondjage with that Word of Pain. It looks like he's got Word of Pain, Blade Wind, and the other one. So no healing, no self-healing for Malekith, but just banking on being able to do the damage elsewhere. You can see over on the far side, Witch Elves have managed to enrage these Orc-Boar Barbigans, although they're kind of losing that engagement a little bit. The Gobos have chased all the way around here and a little bit caught out of position. They're going to be able to tie down a lot of these missile units for some time, which is pretty nice. But yeah, Witch Elves taking some fire here. Dread Spears kind of being thrown in to bog down a lot of these mobile units here. You know, the Mangy Marauders and these Spider Riders need to get out of here so they can use their ammo a little bit more efficiently. You can see the Black Orcs, though, have cleaned up those Cold One Knights in the forest with the help of that Fate of Yuna. More Black Orcs pushing up on the side here, so things are looking decent right now for the Greenskins. It's not completely out of you know, reach for the Wood Elves. The balance of power is still very close, but it is slightly in favor of the Greenskins at this particular moment here. Azag is going to have to be careful that he doesn't take too much fire from those Shades and other units there. You can see the Dark Riders pushing through. It's going to be a little bit rough here. He's going to have to countercharge with these Spider Riders here to keep these guys from getting in that Gobbo firing squad here, and it does look like he's going to be doing just that. Nice little countercharge there, but they might connect a little bit here with these Rusty Airs, or sorry, that's the, yeah, those are the Rusty Airs, but they're going to be routed off relatively shortly. You can see the piecemeal engagements at this point are definitely favoring the Greenskins in certain situations. This Black Orc has been caught out a little bit here and is starting to take quite a bit of damage. This other Black Orc is still relatively healthy, though, cleaning up these Witch Elves in the center pocket super hard. So balance of power is starting to turn more and more in the Greenskins' favor. It's still not too far out of reach, though, just barely in favor of the Greenskins. So nice play so far. Those Witch Elves are going to be shattered. These Dark Riders are also shattered, so he needs to stop wasting his ammo here a little bit. Gobbo's also being broken here. The Black Orcs that are fighting in this forest are a little bit isolated now. The rest of these support units need to make a concerted push to come up this way and help support this fight in this area. You can see these Black Orcs are starting to take a lot of shock damage, and that is going to pull the balance of power back towards the favor of the Dark Elves here as they start to lose out on these elite tier infantry. A very nice Blade Wind, and both of these Black Orcs now being routed just from pure morale damage here. The Orc-Boar Barbigans trying to come in, but just a little bit too late there. A nice Spirit Leech, though. Continuous Spirit Leeches from Azag will be able to take down Malekith. And if the Dark Elves lose their leadership, that's pretty much going to be it for them. I don't think they'll be able to stand up to the rest. But that Hammer of Gork, man, 81 kills, has managed to use up all of its ammunition. Has been super cost-effective this entire time. Nice Gaze of Malice there, damaging those Gobbos. But Malekith's a little bit exposed here. Going to be taking some of that armor-piercing missile fire. Some really nice damage coming in from the Mangy Marauders now, and Azag might be tempted to try and charge down into combat at this point, but that would honestly be a huge mistake. He needs to just use these missiles as much as possible to do as much damage as possible before Malekith gets out of range. And it's a little bit of a rough situation at this point. The Dark Elves still have a lot of ammo left on some of these Black Ark Corsairs. One unit is still very, very healthy, so we'll see. Some regrouping Black Orcs here, trying to stay in the forest here so they don't take too much damage there. But just cycle charging from these Spider Rider Archers going to be coming in on the flank of these Black Ark Corsairs and the Dread Spears here. So still a very, very close pitched fight. Balance of power is starting to tilt more and more in favor of the Greenskins, though. Maybe that they're able to carry this one. We will see. It's still very close, but another Spirit Leech on Malekith, and Azag might be moving in for the kill now. He's going to have to be careful, because even wounded as Malekith is, he's still going to be a danger to Azag in melee. But same thing with these Shades here. He does not want to fight the Shades, but Malekith potentially diving on those Night Goblin Archers, but then deciding better of it. The Shades are going to be inundated a little bit by these Spider Rider Archers here. I'm thinking that might interrupt their attack order. It looks like they're still going to be pushing through on those Night Goblin archers. A really nice Gaze of Malice there going down, but the balance of power is pretty far in favor of the Greenskins. I'm not 100% sure if Ondjage is going to be able to pull this one back at this point, so the Black Orcs pushing up through the force here are going to get a hold of some of these Black Arc Corsairs here and just give them the business. You can see that massive armor-piercing damage just chopping through these Black Arc Corsairs who are trying to push through, trying desperately to get away from these Black Orcs, but just in the confusion of the jungle being kind of dragged down to their doom there. Azag did come in against Malekith and managed to actually rout Malekith off, and with him routing, that is going to trigger army losses, and it's a win for Jinkono. Very well played. Taking a win against Ondjage is no small feat, so very well played to Jinkono. And we have a rubber match, folks. It is indeed a best of 3, so grab a bag of popcorn, you know, pop a kettle of tea, whatever is your thing, and let's go ahead and strap ourselves in for Game 3. So, very nicely done. So we'll go ahead and put the army blocker up as these guys pick their armies once more. So very fun stuff. Going to be going to the third match here. And let me go ahead and make sure we get that thing here. So we'll go ahead and come over here and do that and come here. And we'll do this. Okay, let's see if that works. Wow, what a battle, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. That was a lot of fun. Some very nice play from the Greenskins there. Very, very nice play. It's magic, Hydro Franz. You ain't gotta explain shit, right? Oh, man. Alright, so we're just getting the map selection locked in here. And it looks like Amara Swamps are the final map, really. That's very interesting. Let's see here. Yeah, Amara Swamps. There it is, folks. So, wonder if we'll see some Lizardmen on this one. Maybe, maybe not. We will see. Let me just pull up one thing here. All right, I'm just pulling up the rules now here, just because I am technically an admin here. So let's see. So, okay, so I guess I have to wait for both of them to PM me their faction pick here. So if, let's see here. Okay, so these guys just got to do their bans, and then they'll do their faction picks, and then once they get locked in, we'll kind of talk about things a little bit here. So, let's see. Just waiting on these guys here. And we'll take a look at the bracket if you guys are interested at the end. I know, right? Managed to win without Thief Rabas? What a hacker. That should be not allowed. Alright, so Jinkono bans Beastman. Ondjage bans Tomb Kings. So now they're both going to PM me their faction picks, and then once we confirm, we will be all set. Then these guys can start picking their armies. Alrighty. Got one faction pick. Just waiting on one faction pick here. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so just waiting on one more pick here. Alrighty. Just out of curiosity. Okay. So yeah, we're still just waiting on one army pick, guys. Sorry it's taking so long. Not sure if somebody's AFK here or not, but okay, maybe it's here. Okay. I will confirm now. Okay, so Ondjage is taking Wood Elves and Jinkono is taking Chaos. So, should be a very interesting matchup. It's one of my favorite matchups, and it's probably the hardest matchup for the Wood Elves, in my opinion. It's still definitely winnable. The Wood Elves are very, very good right now, but I think that Chaos has a lot of great tools in that matchup, so I'm interested to see how this goes. And let me know, Gary, if you have any preference, since you're my only sponsor here currently. I'm able to upload one emoji. So do you want like a revivification crystal, or maybe just a friendly Bastillodon? let me know. I'll let you have the first pick of the first emoji that I upload, the first custom emoji. So let me know. And yeah, these guys are just picking their armies here, so we'll be just another moment, and then we'll get on with it, as they say. All right. A money-related emoji. Okay, okay, I can do that. I'll get something for sure. For sure. I mean, I am the paymaster, so. Like a little money bag. Maybe I'll do a coin purse with a little Skaven symbol on it or something. Just all the shady coins. Alrighty, and for folks who are watching this after the fact, of course, I'll have timestamps in the description for all the battles, so you can just skip straight to the start of the battles. You don't have to wait through all this interim time. Guess I probably should have said that at the outset of the video, but I mean, you'll see the comment with the timestamps anyway, so you probably won't even hear what I'm saying right now, so. This is just for the live folks, I guess. Alright, looks like we are both players are locked and loaded, so we're gonna go ahead and get things transferred over here. So we'll go to the main screen here, and yeah, should be a grand old time. Interesting to see neither player picking the Lizardmen on this map, even though it's a map that would very heavily favor aquatics. There is quite a bit of dry land as well, I suppose, but particularly on Ondjage's side of the deployment, if he had taken Lizardmen, he'd be able to deploy completely in water, which would be very nice, and then potentially use artillery or other means to force his opponent to come to him, but alas, no aquatics today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. For Chaos, we've got Big Bird, of course. In terms of spell selection, let's go ahead and take a look. He's just carrying Final Transmutation and Searing Doom. We've got a whole bunch of Chaos Marauders up front with 4 Sword and Board Chosen and 4 Marauder Horsemen with 4 Poison Warhounds. Fairly straightforward build. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ondjage's build here. He looks like he's got a Glady up on a Moon Dragon. Board Answers with Azrai Spear, 2 of them. Spellslinger Lore of Shadows. Waywatcher, and the rest of his forces. We've got 4 Tonal Guards, 2 Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there any mobile forces here? Oh yeah, Glade Riders with Hagbane Tips and 1 unit of Wild Riders. So let's go ahead and see what happens. As soon as he's got both these guys confirmed, we'll jump straight to it. Oh man, Big Bird here, just cackling with his staff. It's so cool. Did I say Moon Dragon? I meant Glade Dragon. Whatever, the green one, the one with the antlers. Very, very cool stuff. Interested to see how these Sword and Board Chosen do, because they have 60 melee defense, which is absolutely insane. 44 weapon strength, 46 melee attack. So I am curious to see how these guys fare in this particular situation. Forest Dragon? Is it a Forest Dragon? Is it a Glade Dragon? I don't know. They have all these fancy names. Anyway, looks like the battle's going to be kicking underway, and right off the bat here, we're going to get a bit of a skirmish engagement in the forest. These Marauders are going to be pushing forward, and I'd imagine they're going to be taking some shots with the this Hagbane tips there. You can see already a couple unit models dropping. They are returning fire, though, with those javelins. Not doing too much damage because of the nature of the woods here. But, yeah, the Chaos Force is immediately realizing where its opponent probably is. It's just going to be pushing forward, trying to envelop a little bit here. Of course, the Glady is a little bit of a giveaway here, but immediately these Wild Riders coming out of the forest on this side are going to be isolating these Chaos Warhounds. So a pretty rough situation that Melkos Mystifying Miasma is going to slow them down, and both these units are going to get caught right out of the gates by Wild Riders and taken off the field. So a rough start for Jinkono here, getting these two Chaos Poison Warhounds taken down. But in the main line, though, Big Bird is looking to push up through the forest here, still doing some scouting with these Marauder Horsemen, while the other Marauder Horsemen pull up on the outside here, and just trying to, get a sense of the Wood Elves formation here, doing a little bit of skirmishing on the outside of the woods. But if the Glade Guards turn to fire and start shooting in, they're going to do a ton of damage to these Marauder Horsemen, so they definitely need to be careful. Interestingly enough, the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes have a shield, but for whatever reason, the Javelin variant do not. I've never quite understood why. But they're pitching their javelins into the side here. Looks like the Hounds are going to be going in for an early charge, just trying to get in on the poison, I guess. Maybe they had an attack order on the archers, and they're immediately going to be pulling away there, probably not wanting to get involved with those Eternal Guards. Brave Anathrema able to catch those Marauder Horsemen and take them down with Wild Riders, while the other Marauder Horsemen can only look on and pitch in their javelins futilely as they bounce off the woods here. Yeah, you can see a lot of forces just kind of scattering outside, not really wanting to take this engagement in the woods, obviously. But honestly, at this point, if Jinkono just needs to push his infantry up and try and get an envelopment with his infantry, and then just come in, because, the Chosen are going to crush all of these guys in melee for the most part, unless they get cycle charged really aggressively by Wild Riders. Getting a Big Bird caught out like this is very dangerous, though. You can see the Glady coming down into combat there. No Plague of Rust from Sarthrael, so unfortunately not able to debuff the armor. He could potentially, with an Overcast Plague of Rust, put the Glady down to 0 armor, which means he'd do a ton of damage to her in melee. But, yeah, rough stuff so far. We'll see as these Marauders start to push up through the woods here, are going to get engaged on by Wild Riders. Wild Riders, I believe, have the no forest penalty trait. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I do believe they have forest. They don't actually have Forest Striders, so they're not going to fare great in the woods here, despite being Wood Elves. Strangely enough, this Glady may also take a little bit of damage here, just looking for that quick terror route, I would imagine. But the infantry for Chaos just needs to push up in the jungle here and try and take these guys down. Marauder Horsemen doing some nice damage to these Azrai Spear, who are a little bit out of position, but you can see the Poison Warhounds that got caught up in here just getting alpha striked just super aggressively. Melkos Mystifying Miasma trying to debuff those Chaos Marauders and just do a bit of a tactical retreat here with all these forces. Just trying to get as much value out of these skirmishes as possible before that mainline engagement develops. He's already used up most of the ammo on these Hagbane tips here. They've only got 22 kills, so not too bad. Not too bad at all, but Big Bird and this unit of Marauders might be able to catch this one unit of War Dancers here. They're starting to take quite a bit of damage while they're pulling away from these Chaos Marauders, which is super cost inefficient. But, yeah, he definitely doesn't want to have them get too isolated here. It looks like they actually dropped their retreat order, so this is potentially very, very bad. You can see Ondjage right on top of his micro, going to be, again, dragging him back away, trying to bring in these cheaper Eternal Guard to screen here. Another Prey of Anathrema being dropped on the Marauder Horsemen there, just allowing them to be caught and hunted down by the Glady there. It looks like Searing Doom going to be coming down on these Wild Riders. They're immediately going to beat it. If it does catch one or two unit models there, but honestly doesn't do the most damage at the end of the day. And those Chaos Marauders are going to be terrified away. You can see, though, this unit of Eternal Guards is completely isolated out here. Going to get taken care of. The Spellsinger also, unfortunately for Ondjage, getting isolated by these Marauders out in the woods here. Losing those spells is going to be pretty tough early on. So definitely a back and forth game so far. You can see these Wild Riders are starting to take damage from the Marauder Horsemen, and that's one of the reasons why Ondjage is trying so aggressively, using up those Prey of Anathema charges to try and take down these Marauder Horsemen, because they can do a lot of damage to these Wild Riders, and they're the main threat to the Wild Riders. Otherwise, they can pretty much just run shop on all this infantry all day. But you can see the Chosen emerging from the woods, looking like they want to push out here and engage these Elves in melee. The Elves are going to be pushing up towards the other forest here, potentially forming another battle line. Wild Riders coming in and just crushing those Poison Warhounds on the charge, and the Hagbane tips being used to zone out these Marauder Horsemen here. Another unit of Marauder Horsemen, unfortunately not being microed here. Needs to bring these guys in to support, or else bring them back around to re-secure with the rest of his formation. But Wild Riders taking a little bit of damage here. Ondjage just continuing his tactical retreat here, trying to gain a more favorable position. You can see this unit of Eternal Guards is running away, just continuously getting hunted down by Chosen. Honestly, though, keeping a group of Chosen distracted is cost-effective in and of itself. So, yeah, the one unit of Marauder Horsemen is going to be routed off, but the other 4 have managed to rally here and still have a few shots left, so we'll see how this engagement develops here. But Chosen and Chaos Marauders just pushing up across the muck and the mire here, trudging through the water so very slowly. Chosen are already a very slow unit to begin with, and walking through the water, they're even slower. So, yeah, Ondjage just continuously looking for that favorable engagement here. The lady will take some damage from those javelins, being that she only has 50 armor, but because a lot of the unit models are gone, they really don't have the volume of fire to put too much hurt on. Quick charge there interrupts those War Dancers with Thasrai Spear. You can see this unit of Eternal Guards that got isolated out here, just kind of got left to its own devices, and I believe the Spellsinger actually got either routed off or taken down, so a little bit unfortunate there from Ondjage to lose that magic early on, but still very close on the balance of power. Hopefully we're going to be getting a mainline engagement developing here. Ondjage just seems content to continue to try and retreat and not take this mainline engagement while he tries to clean up as much as possible these Marauder Horsemen. That final Prey of Anathema charge being dropped on these Marauder Horsemen here. And yeah, unfortunately the Chosen aren't going to be fast enough to respond in any kind of meaningful manner here. Likewise, Big Bird just a little bit too far away to support effectively here. Those Marauder Horsemen are going to be routed. There's still a couple more groups, though, still relatively healthy, and the inexorable advance of Chaos just pushing up through the forest, going to be actually starting to catch some of these Eternal Guards, and man, those Chosen will actually start to get some attack animations in now that these guys are getting hung up on the trees a little bit, so a little bit of a rough situation. The infantry engagement is definitely going to favor Chaos, so Ondjage, that's why he's trying so hard to take out these mobile units, is otherwise, you know, without the support of the Wild Riders, his infantry is going to crumble in the face of all of these Chosen here. So let's see. Marauder Horsemen screening out, going to be using the Hounds also to screen here. Unfortunately, the Hounds are going to get taken down, and the Marauder Horsemen look like they maybe just drop their attack order there and get caught and routed, so very unfortunate for Chaos. Only one unit of Marauder Horsemen remaining, and they have relatively low unit models, so at this point the Wild Riders are relatively safe. Ondjage could honestly probably just continue to, he could honestly probably at this point could just charge into melee and take this engagement head on. With the support of these Wild Riders, now that there's not too many threats against them, could potentially be good, but let's go ahead and see how things are going to play out here. And just trying to chase down these routing units here, and yeah, a lot of these infantry just pretty tired from trudging all the way across the battlefield. The Elves likewise are getting very tired, so we'll see how things are going to play out here. The Dragon's going to try and come down here. Big Bird should immediately respond and jump into melee combat with her. I don't think he's dropped his final transmutation yet, so now would be the time if ever there was a time. He may have dropped it already. I didn't quite catch it if he did, but again, because of the low armor of Sarthrael, he's going to do a lot of damage to the Gladian melee, and you can see she's starting to take a ton of damage here. Really bad for the Wood Elves' morale, and if Big Bird can get maybe one attack, oh man, one more attack on the Gladian, she probably would have routed off there. Very bad situation, but now he's getting surrounded by Wild Riders. That being said, this is going to allow a lot of these other Chaos units to come in and support. Honestly, I would have just kept Big Bird attacking those Wild Riders, but yeah, the Glady is really low on health at this point. Ondjage is going to have to be very careful about where and when he uses her. But yeah, at this point, Chaos just needs to keep pushing forward and just continue to try and wear out the Wood Elves of ammunition. A lot of their units are out of ammo. You can see the Hagbane tips and the Glady is running low on ammo. The Hagbane tips are completely out. The Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts are starting to run low as well, and I didn't catch what happened to those Way Watchers. They must have got inundated pretty early on. But yeah, you can see just the alpha strike here from these Wild Riders, trying to immediately just take down both of these units of Marauders, getting some really nice value there. Actually, is one of them chosen? No, they're both Marauders, but Big Bird does come in from the side and get an attack animation with the Steel Chair. Going to be doing one more animation, and one more should finish her off, but it does look like Ondjage is going to just squeak away. Maybe is he going to get him? Oh man, it's so close at this point. Only 200 hit points on Ondjage's Lord, and he does rout, so a pretty bad situation for the Wood Elves, all things considered. And now a lot of these Wild Riders and so on are caught out without the support. Now the Chosen, a little bit out of position, but they are going to be pushing forward now and trying to help support Big Bird in this mainline engagement, since a lot of the Wood Elves infantry are finally looking like they want a head-up fight here. So these Marauders barely holding on to their leadership, but Big Bird also doesn't want to face a lot of these anti-large troops in melee. Balance power is still very, very close here, so let's see how things pan out. And at this point, it's pretty dangerous. You can see these War Dancers with Azrai Spear. If Big Bird just jumps on top of them real quick, he can interrupt their retreat order, and then these Chosen will be able to get on them and just absolutely crush them. You can see these Eternal Guards. Big Bird is a little bit dangerous, though, diving in this far. I mean, the Wood Elves don't have another Prey of Anathrema, but you don't want to fight this engagement in the woods. He needs to come back and unify with his infantry. Otherwise, he's going to take a lot of damage from these Wood Elf forces here. But it looks like he's maybe trying to kind of screen out this way. You can see those War Dancers are taking a lot of damage from those Chosen. Sorry, those are Eternal Guard. But at this point, the balance of power is starting to creep more and more in Chaos' favor. Ondjage is just continually trying to reposition his forces and get to a point where those Glade Guards can fire, but I'm just not sure he's going to be able to re-secure himself well enough at this point. You can see those tattered Eternal Guards that were forgotten on the corner are going to be coming back. A few Chaos Marauders coming back from routing as well. Going to be able to isolate this Eternal Guard and take it off the battlefield. And the more of these Wood Elf units that start to get isolated and taken down kind of piecemeal, it's going to get worse and worse for Ondjage. But I mean, his Glady is still alive, at least I believe. I don't think she routed off. She might have actually routed off the field, which, you know, may be beneficial in the end because she didn't actually go down, which is a more severe morale debuff. But let's see here. If we check these Eternal Guard, we can actually see from their leadership, Lord fled recently. Yeah, minus 16. So it's less than it would be if it was the Lord killed recently. But yeah, you can see that unit of Eternal Guard is going to get mopped up by the Chosen and the regrouped Marauders there. At this point, he's going to have a hard time protecting from the Wild Riders, but just needing to use Big Bird as much as possible. You can see doing exactly that. As soon as they come in for a charge, just respond with Big Bird, and he's going to be able to get a few attack animations, maybe take down a couple unit models. Doesn't look like he actually did any attack animations there. But yeah, at this point, the balance of power is definitely in Chaos's favor. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And these Way Watchers here are low on ammo. The Glade Guards are low on ammo. These Glade Guards are also starting to run low on ammo. So once the ammo's out, Ondjage is going to have to take this fight in melee. And I really don't think he's going to be able to take it very effectively. So let's see what he's able to do here. I'm genuinely curious to see if he's going to be able to pull this back. Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts opening up shots into the side of the Chosen. Going to actually get some really nice damage done there because they're turned to the sides. So they're not getting their missile block chance. But you can see the Marauders trying to push forward here and just silence these archers. They're going to be met with these Eternal Guards here. And more Wild Rider charges. Again, isolating these Marauders like this is a little bit of a mistake. You definitely need to try and keep them with the Chosen. But yeah, it's going to be really hard for the Wood Elves to deal with the Chosen at this point. They're going to need to get like a full surround with these Wild Riders. You can see there's the final transmutation going down. Probably going to be finishing off those Wild Riders. It does a lot of damage to low model count units. And when units are wounded like this and they have a lower model count, it's probably didn't actually do that much. Must not have been an overcast final transmutation. Did take down a couple of those Wild Riders though. And of course, any damage that he can do at range against those Wild Riders is going to be very beneficial. So yeah, even though the balance of power is in Chaos's favor, it's going to be a little bit of a tight situation, so we'll see. We will see. Again, firing on the side of the Chosen is the best that you can hope for at this point. They do have a very solid missile block chance, so firing into the side there is, yeah. Oh man, this unit of Chosen, though, getting its back turned a little bit, is going to take a ton of damage from those Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts. And the Chaos player has to be careful of this. I know he wants the bracing bonus against the Wild Riders, but honestly, it's more effective to be facing... Well, the Way Watchers are on the side as well, so a little bit of a concave of fire from Ondjage is playing very well into his favor, just continuously repositioning at this point. And yeah, it's a pretty rough situation, all things considered. You can see another isolated charge here on these Chaos Marauders on the side, going to be probably shattering them once and for all here with these Wild Riders. Just immediately pulling back away, not allowing Ondjage the chance to respond. And yeah, those Chaos Marauders just got shattered by that charge. So only one unit of Marauders left, but all these Chosen are still very healthy. And with how low the Wood Elves are on ammo, I really don't think they can pull this through. Balance of power is creeping more and more in the favor of Chaos as they start to use more and more of their ammo. So we'll see. Ondjage is he's going to have to take this engagement at some point. So we'll see. Jinkono might actually end up taking these two games. What initially seemed like a very rough engagement for him is turning very well in his favor at this point, so a few more volleys coming in from the Starfire Shafts there. They are shooting into the shielded flank of these Chosen, though, so not going to be the best arc of fire that they could get. Let's see, another charge from these isolated Marauders here on the side, just continuing to get value from these Wild Riders and trying to claw his way back on the balance of power. This is exactly how you want to do it, is to take out isolated units, finish them off in terms of the balance of power, but he didn't actually rout those Chaos Marauders, did move a little bit back on the balance of power, but now finally we're getting a mainline engagement developing with these Chosen, just getting lanced through in the center by the Wild Riders, and immediately just the Wild Riders going to be pulling through there. You can see those Chosen took a ton of damage. They are taking also damage from the War Dancers with the Azrai Spear, but another unit of Chosen on the side here going to be coming in, starting to deal damage on these Eternal Guards with the Eternal Guards with shields, who have so far taken very little damage in the battle, and looks like Big Bird's going to be just pushing his way straight through this, trying to affix a lot of the Wood Elf infantry in this pocket here. Actually countercharging on those Wild Riders, he will be able to do a lot of damage to them as well. So the heavy armor of the Chosen is going to help them in this particular situation, although you can see they're starting to take a lot of damage and getting dragged down a little bit. Balance of power still fairly well in Chaos's favor. There's this other Chosen that's kind of out of position here, a little bit isolated, but the other Chosen are fighting brilliantly here in the pits. Their 60 melee defense means they are going to be able to take these Eternal Guards to task here. And I'd imagine that the Terror is potentially going to kick in here for the Wood Elves, especially as more of the Chosen start to come in and get kind of a concave of surround. These War Dancers and these Eternal Guards may very well Terror rout. Actually, are War Dancers immune to Psychology? They are. They are immune to Psychology baseline, so they won't Terror rout. These Eternal Guards definitely could Terror rout. And you can see these Eternal Guards taking some shock damage there from Big Bird, and again, just the concave of Chosen here, just being used to turn their backs and allow these Glade Guards to use up the last of their ammunition firing into the rear of the Chosen, which is very good. It's exactly what they want. But at this point, just the fighting in the pits here, in the water, is going to favor the Wild Riders slightly, but the Chosen just have such superior combat stats here. They're really going to... The Wood Elf infantry is going to struggle to make solid contact with that 60 melee defense. One unit of Chosen is down, another one is heavily wounded, one's at about half HP, but here comes the third unit, still very healthy. Big Bird is a little bit isolated, fighting in the forest here, just taking on the remaining skirmishers. This Glade Guard does have some ammo left, so that is a pretty decent play there. Again, this one unit of Chosen routed, but the full health unit of Chosen basically just coming in the late game here, going to start cleaving through what's left of the Wood Elf infantry here. So yeah, I don't imagine that a lot of these Wood Elf units are going to be sticking around too much longer here. Balance of power is creeping more and more in Chaos's favor, and it might actually be a victory for Chaos in this particular matchup. We'll see how things turn out here, but it's still very close. Despite what the balance of power says, it's creeping more and more in Chaos's favor, though, as more of these Eternal Guards and more of this infantry starts to go down. Last of the ammo is, for the most part, gone on the Glade Guards here, so Big Bird also adeptly avoiding those War Dancers there, and going to be, I'd imagine, charging into some of these units that are more susceptible to Terror. So yeah, just needs to get a quick rear charge in on these units here, and yeah, the Terror is real, so that should hopefully start a bit of a chain route situation. The War Dancers, of course, being immune to Psychology, are not going to Terror route, but they can chain route. If units around them are routing, it does give them a morale debuff. The shock damage, as well as that rear charge there, is also going to do quite a bit of leadership damage as well. So yeah, I think this is going to be GG for the Wood Elves. I'm just waiting for army losses to hit at this point. I mean, of course, I keep saying that. I mean, these Wood Elves are hanging around here. They did just use up the last of their ammunition, though, on that Glade Guard there. So, yeah, it's going to be a victory for the Forces of Chaos. Even if the timer runs out here, the tournament rules do allow that if the balance of power is very heavily in one player's favor, it does count as a win for that player. So, at this point, it is pretty much a guaranteed win for Chaos. So, very well played to both players. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tournament series. It was a very wild tournament series, and it is going to be a victory for Jinkono. So, in a wild series of games, Jinkono is able to steal 2 games against Ondjage in very, very close pitched battles. Well played to both players, and yeah, let's take a look at the army breakdown. 78 kills on Sarthrail himself, and just the Chosen just weathering that storm of missiles, you know, just inexorably advancing up across the line, just continuously pushing back the Wood Elves, and in the end, finally closing the gap and finishing things off here. The Wild Riders did very well, obviously, 224 and 130 kills, 95 kills on the Glade Riders with Hagbane tips as well. Way Watchers did pretty decently, but the Wood Elf Infantry just got outclassed super hard by these Chosen, and the arrows weren't enough to take down the Big Bird, and, you know, losing that Glady early on was pretty costly as well. Definitely was a very costly mistake. So, well played to both players. Very epic battles. So thank you all very much for watching. That is all I have for this particular stream. So if you like this kind of content, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'm going to be keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day. So stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.